Hi everyone. So I am going to be talking about my mid-month wrap-up of the books I've read and go from there. So the first book that I ended up finishing for the month of November is I ended up finishing this one here. I read this one on my Kindle and I bought it. There's another book that I read on my Kindle that I have to buy soon, so I'll have to put that on my cart for Amazon. So I read this one here, Ruby Dixon, When She's Pregnant. This is a part of the Riz the Verse series. And this is a novella, so it's very short. It would take you probably like an hour to read. Very quick book. I really love this one. This one here was a 5-star for me. This was super hot. So sweet. So sweet. This is something that the author had mentioned in her author's note. She had said, this idea was pretty short and sweet. I wanted to write a story with a nice guy and a nice girl, and they make a baby. That's about it, really. The nice thing about being an author is that I can have an idea for a scene, the desk one in this book, and just make a whole book around it. Authoring's a fun job, not gonna lie. So this one was super sweet. Naomi is on the Rizza 3 planet with the other ladies. The other ladies have paired off, and they have mates and started having families of their own. And she wants to have a family. She wants to have a child. So she feels very lonely, and so she ends up saving up money from her farm. Because you make money on your farm. And so she ended up saving up money and decided to go and do fertility treatments so that way she can get pregnant. And the guy she was going to use as a donor, unfortunately, brushed her off. He canceled on her, something happened, whatever it was. And so she's like, I only have like a day left of these like hormones coursing through my system. And if I don't get pregnant, I'm going to, she's going to end up just wasting her money on these fertility treatments and not be able to get pregnant. So she goes to this, what's it called again? Post-custodial office. I always forget. I want to say police station. But it's basically like this office where these custodians are there, which I'd say they're probably more of like sheriffs or police officers. And so Einar is there. He's this young, was it Masaka alien, the big blue aliens. So he's there. She goes there and basically is like, hey, I need somebody to sleep with. And he's like, oh, she needs help with sleeping. Oh, well, I don't know how I can help her with that. Not realizing that she wants him to put the P in the V. So, so she basically has to let him know, like, no, I want to have sex so I can make a baby. And so he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh, how do I, he's like, how do I go and do this? And then he's like, oh, okay. So, they basically do it on the desk, do it on his desk multiple times. And there's a lot of fluids. So I'll just say that. And afterwards, he's just like smitten with her. He thought she was very attractive before they even put the P in the V. But he's like smitten with her, and he's like, she's my mate. She's my mate. I want to be with her. I want to have babies with her, And so she leaves because they end up getting interrupted by one of the other custodians that's already paired off from a previous book. And so he's like, how do I win her? How do I woo her? How do I get her to, be my mate? So he ends up getting this advice from the other custodian. And it's like, oh, well, women don't know how to make up their mind kind of thing. And, and so he's just telling her like, well, why don't you, go to her door and, do that. And so he ends up going to her home with flowers. It was just so sweet. I was just like, oh, that's adorable. He's so sweet. He's such a sweetie. And so he was definitely a cinnamon roll, such a sweet man. And he was like, you know, basically telling her like, hey, I want to mate. And she's like, well, just because we had sex doesn't mean, you know, you have to be my mate. And so she's like, I want someone to love me, you know? And so it was really sweet because you could tell, like, obviously, it wasn't heavily put in the book, but you definitely can tell the underlying things is she obviously was a slave to somebody who didn't treat her very well. And so she's obviously a little leery about, you know, getting involved with, you know, any alien men. And so he's basically, you know, they start to see each other, and it was just really sweet. There was a little miscommunication in it, but it wasn't due to like his fault. He's getting like advice from the other alien men, and you know, when you have a different culture, lost in communication, things can get miscommunicated, and it was perfectly understandable why he had that miscommunication. Such a sweetheart. He didn't want to go and like obviously scare her and like that, because he knows that, you know, she obviously went through a lot of different things. He just wants to be there for her and protect her, and it was just so sweet. Such a sweet story. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and I ended up giving it 5 stars because of that. And I think I gave it like 4 or 5 spice, you know, chili peppers. It was really hot, really sweet. Such a cute novella. And this is the Ruby Dixon I like to see. I just like to see where these characters come together and find, you know, love with each other and get a family. And it may seem simple, and people may be like, oh, I want like more complexity to that. But I don't know. I realize I kind of like the breeding kink. I don't know why. I just do. I like the breeding, you know. You know, when people look at other people, like say single people are looking at these families and like, oh, they're breeders, you know, it's that type of thing. But I don't know, I kind of like that because I don't know, I like it. It's interesting. So this was really sweet, and I really like that one. But I will say it is like more of a breeding kink kind of thing. If you're not into that type of thing, you may not like it. But I'd say if you've really liked Ruby Dixon, like her series and all that stuff, you're going to like this novella. So I really enjoyed that one. Super sweet. The next book I ended up reading was Resting Witch Face. So this one here is Ruben and Juliana, but she goes by Jules. He calls her most of the time Juliana. So sweet. So they have a past. 12 years ago, they were dating. They were really into each other, and something happened which caused them to separate. And so 12 years have gone by where they've kind of like, they've had to get thrust, you know, into each other's like peripherals. And so, you know, old feelings kind of like resurface for them. And, you know, he's always like wanted her, never wanted anybody else. And, you know, she has like obviously some miscommunication or assumptions that she assumed. There's also a bit of somebody putting them in the wrong path, and what caused them to stay, you know, away from each other longer. There was that too. But when they finally come together, because this is also a road trip, you know, they have to go to several cities, also in London, go to another country, because they're looking to get the other supernaturals to decide on a vote to vote the werewolves into the whole family, you know, of supernaturals. Because these werewolves were cursed years ago by a former witch, they're basically ostracized from the rest of their supernaturals. And it's not fair for them to be ostracized just because of stuff that happened in the past with their ancestors. Doesn't mean that every one of them is like that. So I thought it was really good because you could see Jules first really did not like the werewolves. She didn't want anything to do with them. You know, her family's always told her to stay away from werewolves. And then when Evie from the first book, she goes and, you know, befriends Mateo and, you know, is trying to break his hex that he had to try to, you know, release his wolf so that his wolf can, you know, shift. So once that happened, you know, you could see this shift with Jules where she started to realize that, you know, the werewolves were basically criminalized for years for, you know, bad things in the past. So she's, you know, taking it upon herself, and also Reuben too, because he wants to help, of basically trying to get the other supernaturals, the other vampires, and the Grimms, and all these other ones, witches and stuff like that, to agree to allow them into their, you know, kind of like, you know, group. And they're dealing with opposition. They're dealing with people who don't want that, who are very, I guess you'd say, prejudiced and stuck in these old ways, and they don't want to change. So they were dealing with that as well. But I really liked it because throughout, you know, them traveling, he basically told her, look, it's been 12 years. I'm done waiting. I want you. I want to be with you. And, you know, she knew, okay, he's not going to wait anymore. She had to be prepared, you know, because he was coming for her, basically, you know, to, you know, prove that, you know, he loves her. He wants to be with her, you know. So it was really sweet. And I really enjoyed it. I did give it 5 stars. I first was like teetering on like, well, do I want to just give it 4? Because I wasn't like absolutely loving it. But I will say the last part of the book really cemented it for me. And I was like, yes, yep, love this. Love this. I love the ending of what happened. I was just like, you know, crying. I was getting a little emotional, and I was like, yeah, this is 5 stars. This is a 5-star. So I really enjoyed that, and I really liked that book right there. Cannot wait for the last book in the series. That one's Clara and Henry. Henry is is he another Grimm? I know he has like a different power, where what's it, a necromancer or something? I think that's what it is. Where he can see, basically he could see dead people, you know? He can see the dead. So that will be an interesting. And plus Clara is very, I don't want to say dingy, but she's very positive, and it's almost like she is what he needs. You know, because Henry's very, you know, Grimms tend to be very, they bring out like negative feelings, negativity and all that stuff. So with her, with being so positive, I think that kind of will balance things out between them as a couple. I'm hoping for that book. But so far, I just really enjoy this series. This is a really great series. If you're looking for something that's paranormal, but is not like bogged down with all of this like world building, and you want sexy times, you're going to find it with this. You're going to find it with this series. It was really good. I've really enjoyed the series so far. I think once the last book comes out on, once that book is released, I want to do more of like, I wouldn't say a tier ranking video, but like, you know, basically, of like the books I've liked from least to best. So, and go from there. Like, which book did I think was just like, you know, great? Yeah, I already know in my head, you know, but I have to read the last book. The last book will really cement to me what I think is like the not so great book to the best book in the series, and go from there. But yeah, I was going to, this month I was going to do a TBR clean out. I don't know if I'm still going to do one. I'm thinking I might do one toward the beginning of next month. So I'm going to actually probably start on it soon. Because I want to go and have a video for the beginning of the month of doing a TBR clean out. Because I started doing one and I'm like, you know what? I don't like the way this is turning out, because I DNF'd like how many books? I DNF'd how many books, and it just seemed very negative and depressing to me to watch the video, and I'm just like, oh geez, another book I DNF'd, another book I didn't like. And so I want to go about it a little bit differently of how I do the video, to where people see, like, you know, here are physical books that I've read that I put on my TBR, and you know which ones I thought were really good. And then also maybe like, okay, here's ones that were physical copies that I just didn't like and I ended up DNFing. Instead of going, oh, I DNF'd this book, and I'm going to start this book. Oh, I DNF'd this one. So kind of go from there. Yes, can I help you?
Yeah, chocolate milk.
You want chocolate milk? Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Okay. Go in the kitchen. Go in the kitchen. Okay.
Bye-bye, Mom.
Bye-bye.
You're the best.
Thank you. I'm the best. So, so that's my youngest. So yeah, I will do another clip of the other books that I read for my mid-month, and I will talk to you in a bit. Okay, update. So, today is Saturday, and it's my birthday, so I'm another year older. It just seems like every year that goes by and the older I get, the less I want to celebrate my birthday. So my boyfriend got me a gift card for Amazon, and he's like, where do you want to go eat? So I'm like, oh, let's go to this, place. I like to go there to eat. It's reasonably priced. It's not some expensive place. So we went for lunch, and so I decided to, I was like, let's go over to Barnes & Noble, because I know usually I can find stuff for my daughters over there. So I ended up picking up a couple of books, or a few books. It was funny because we were walking around Barnes & Noble, and my youngest is like, how come you got 3 books? And I said, well, I have 3 books because I'm the birthday girl. So there was a woman putting books away who worked there. She's like, happy birthday. I was like, oh, thank you. So I thought that was really sweet. So I was like, thank you. So I bought a few, my boyfriend bought a few books for me for my birthday. So the first one is, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, because every time I pick up a traditionally published book and they say it's romance, I am really disappointed in the book, because it doesn't, they always don't seem like they're romances. They seem more women's fiction, and I don't mind a women's fiction if I know that's what I'm getting is a women's fiction. I don't want to be told it's a romance and I'm like, this is not romance. Like there's no happily ever after, that's what I'm looking for, So I was like, I don't know. A lot of people are talking about this book. I'm not sure if I want to pick it up. But I was like, let me take a chance, because I do not want to pay the Kindle price for it. So I picked up The Dead Romantics. I hear good things about it. It's Good Morning America book club pick. I don't know how that is going to be good or not. We will see. But I was like, well, let's pick it up. Let's see. I'm a little leery. I'll just say that. I'm a little leery, because sometimes people recommend books to me and they're not so good. So let's hope this is good. I will just say, let's hope. So the next book, it's an author I've read, so I know what I'm getting going into it. It's gonna probably be emotional, probably will cry, but I'm going to read it. So I ended up picking up Kennedy Ryan Before I Let Go. I've read her Grip series and I really enjoyed that one. So emotional, I was crying with that one. Her Hoops series, that first book in that series, oh, that one gutted me because I know what it's like to have a relationship where, you know, it's bad. I mean, she dealt with, obviously the character in that book dealt with domestic abuse. Oh, that guy was a piece of shit. Oh, if you get into the Hoops series by Kennedy Ryan, be leery about the first book. I'm telling you, it is very triggering if you are like a domestic abuse survivor. She talked to several domestic abuse survivors. It was really, it was a really emotional book, but it was really good. It was a really good book. Oh, that put me through the ringer emotionally reading that book, but it was really good. I do want to reread that one again soon. And then I didn't care for the second one in the series, and I liked the third one in the series. That it is a good series, but it's very, very can be triggering, and it's very emotional. But it's a great series, though. So I was like, well, let me pick up this one. It's a second chance romance. Can I say this cover is just gorgeous? I love this cover. This is one of the things that attracted me to it, besides the author, because I've read her, but also that cover is just absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, if you look at the gold, oh man, it's so pretty. So this, I'm like, if you're going to do an illustrated cover, this is what I want to see. I want to see it art. I want it to look like this. I don't want it to be all cheesy. Like, you know, you have the covers that are like this, and I'm like, you know, that's gorgeous. You know, I'm just saying, Kennedy Ryan, like, I don't know if she had any input on the cover, but great. It's beautiful. So I got that one. Probably going to be put me through emotional ringer reading that story. I know it probably will. It's a second chance romance. They're dealing with something I've already known that the triggers are, so that's going to be emotional. So right now I am currently physically reading this book here. This is a new series for Kate Bateman. So it's kind of like a feuding families. So I picked this one up a little while ago, and I decided while I was in Barnes & Noble that I would pick up the second book in the series. So I picked up that one there. So I'm hoping to get through this one here, and then I'll delve into the second book. And so birthday for myself, you know, because I picked up books for myself, I bought on Amazon. So I bought Corsair's Strake for Ruby Dixon. I didn't realize it was that freaking thick when I read it, but you could tell it's a big bitch. So this is a really good series too. This one here is the Corsair's Brothers, I think it's called. I think this is called the Corsair Brothers, and he is not one of the brothers, but he runs this ship. He runs a ship, and so they kind of run into the brothers on this. Sorry, my alarm went off. I don't know why, but I was getting like Kylo Ren vibes in this book. I like Kylo Ren in his mask. Once he takes off the mask, ooh, emo boy, no thank you. But the mask on, yes please. So for me, this one here kind of reminded me of Kylo Ren for the fact that this guy wears robes, and I don't know why. I was thinking of like Kylo Ren. So I'm like, alien Kylo Ren. So there you go. So I really liked that book. That one was really good. So I wanted to pick up the physical version because I read the Kindle. And so I picked up the physical book for Rev to the Max that I really enjoyed this one here. I really liked this book, and this is the first book of the Reynolds Restoration series. So now it goes into what I'm currently reading. So I'm currently reading the second book in that series by Melanie Moreland. So I'm reading Breaking the Speed Limit by Melanie Moreland. And this one here I'm about 41% in. And I'm getting a notification. I'm 41% into this book. This one here has Stefano. And Stefano, you first are introduced to him in this first book here. He him and another guy start to work for Max in this book. So Stefano is Italian, and his mother is kind of like, basically like, you know, when are you going to get married? When are you going to make babies kind of thing, you know? So he's in his 30s, hasn't found a lady, and all of a sudden this new woman comes to town, and he's just completely smitten with her. Really moving like super fast. And I'm like, dude, reel it in. You are going way too fast, man, because she has a child. You know, she has a small child. He's 5 years old. He is like already like really getting taken with Stefano. So Gabby is running away from a bad situation. It hasn't been said yet, but I'm assuming it has to do with her ex, and I believe it was like some kind of domestic abuse situation, where she's now running away from her ex because of that. So they're all suspecting pretty much she's on the run. You know, she's on the run, and she's, I'd say, very reluctant to get involved with Stefano, but she also is, I would say, not reluctant enough. Because, I mean, I can only speak for myself. When I left my relationship, my last relationship, when I left that relationship, I said to myself, I am going to get with a man who treats me with respect and treats my children with respect, treats them like they are his own. That's what I want. I want a stepdad for my children that are going to be there, because I knew my ex was not going to be around much, because just having the experience of being in a relationship with him and how he treated his son, you know, with his ex-wife. He didn't, it's like you can go and financially take care of your child, but if you're not physically there, you know, to spend time with your kid, play video games with them, take them to the park, you know, play sports with them, do different things like that. If you're not present and you're just kind of like one of those part-time parents, the child acts out. So unfortunately, I did not have a good relationship with my ex's son, because that kid would come over, treat me like crap, not listen to me, and because he's hearing it from his mother. So I will say, if you get involved with a man that has a kid, you know, and the ex is giving you a hard time, and the ex is telling her son not to listen to me, get out of the relationship. Get out of the relationship. Do not marry that man, because you need to have there needs to be a good foundation where both parents can be civil with each other, you know, and they were not. I dealt with a lot of combative crap when it came to his ex and how she treated me and disrespected me. And then, you know, their son coming over and not listening to me when I'm like, look, you need to go and clean your toys up, you know, and do what you're supposed to be doing, because I've babysat kids for years. So it's not like I'm not good with kids. I know how to treat kids. But you have a child that doesn't want to listen to you, who walks by you and sticks his head up in the air and walks by you like you're a cockroach. And I'm like, excuse me? I am an adult. I should not be treated like this from a little 5-year-old little fuck. So I tried to get a good rapport with him. I'm not his mother. I didn't want to be his mother. I knew he had a mom. I'm like, look, all I could be his little friend. I could be his mentor. That's it. And, you know, when you have a relationship like that, if I would have known that would have happened, I would have never got together with a man that has a kid. So that was a very combative relationship, dealing with his see you next Tuesday, you know, ex. Oh, I want to punch her in the face. So dealing with her, and then dealing with him, you know, and his crap that he did. So I knew going into a new relationship, I'm like, look, I don't want to make those same mistakes that I, you know, was in this other relationship before. I told my, my current boyfriend, when I was, started to date him, I'm like, look, I don't want to deal with your ex. If you have problems with her, that is your issue. That is your issue. You need to deal with it because you're the one that married her. So, you need to deal with it. My boyfriend that I have now, he was still married to her. They were separated for years. She was already living with, her new boyfriend. She was living with the dude. That's hence why, they were, separation, because she had cheated on him with, her ex. She got back together with her ex because he had a house, so yeah. So I had told my current boyfriend, I said, look, I'm not dealing with baby mama drama. That's one. And I'm not dealing with a kid who's going to disrespect me. So if we get together, you handle your kid. If he's going to disrespect me, you handle him. And I'll handle my children. Him and I have been together for almost 8 years. And, we have a great relationship. We've worked on things, and I have a great relationship with his son. His son is like, he's like my little buddy, I have a great relationship with him. He communicates well with me. He treats my, daughters well. He teases them. It's like, he even said he thinks of them as his little sisters. And to me, it's a great thing to have that, and great communication with each other. So I knew that, I wanted to have a much better relationship if I'm going to be dealing with a stepchild, and my boyfriend's going to be, dealing with my children, that we had to be able to, work with each other, co-parent and all that stuff. So, his ex is still a see you next Tuesday. But she's now married to some other dude, so that's his problem. But now it's like, we have a good relationship. We have a very good relationship, and it just takes work. So with me, when I read this book, to go back to it, long story short, when I read this book here, and this guy's getting involved. Now, I understand, he has a good relationship with the kid, completely understand that. But, it's like you need to have a good foundation before you build that house. He already wants to start building the house, and it's like there is cracks in that foundation. You need to make sure that it's solid before you start putting up walls and a freaking roof and a door. You need to go and work on this. Get things straightened out first before you try to, do anything else. And so with Stefano, I kind of feel like he's moving a little bit too fast, And so that's why I said, like, he needs to, like, reel it in, calm down. I know you're excited. I know she makes you, like, all hot and bothered, but she's dealing with some stuff. So it's like, handle that stuff first, and then go forward. So, so that's the only thing I could say with this story, is that it's a little too fast, and I don't know what the author is going to do to make it a little bit better, but I'm about 41% in, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing the P and the V soon. And so, yeah, I like it so far. I do. But yeah, that's the only downside to it, is that as someone who has experience with, an ex that had a kid and had a very bad relationship with his ex-wife, and I had to deal with it and all that baby mama drama, it's you need to be leery. You need to walk on eggshells and to kind of like take baby steps before you get into, something like that. So I could see if maybe like her ex was dead, it's a completely different thing. If you're not dealing with another parent, it'd be a different thing, But this person, this man that she had a kid with, he clearly is, probably pursuing her. So you need to be safe and be leery about, the stuff that's going on. So yeah, that's my only worry, is that, when you have children involved, you always need to take better steps when it comes to the child, because that child comes first. That child, the first 5 years are the most important in a child's life. And if you make a misstep, it derails that child's development. So yeah, that's my only downside to this one here, is I'm hoping that the author reels it back a little bit. I mean, she did reel it back a little bit, because I was like, oh my God, are they going to be like, doing it within the first 10 or 20%? So she did kind of like push it back a little bit to where now it's 40% in, and they look like they're about to, do something. So yeah, I'm kind of like, not sure how I feel. That I'm a little leery about that, but we're going to see what happens. So that's my long update. Sorry about if it's really long, but that's my long update, and I will update you all later when I finish the book and go from there. So yeah, I will talk to you all later. Okay, quick update to the book. I finished it, and I was going to give it a 4, but I will say the rest of the book had it where there was this cheesy third act breakup, and I was like, I didn't like how it was done, because she was pushing him away, and I was like, dude, Stefano, she's pushing you away. Now, there's something going on. There's something going on. She's not telling you, so you have to suspect it has to do with her ex or something like that. And he was kind of being dumb. And I was like, she told you her history, and then all of a sudden she's like closing you out. She's running. So it's like, come on, man, figure it out. You're that dumb. So I just thought he was kind of stupid in that aspect. And the way she reacted, I didn't like. And then there was like a surprise pregnancy toward the end. And I'm like, I just was like, I did not like the way it was done. Not a fan. I was not a fan of how it was done. So ultimately, I'm just giving it a 3. It's decent. But, with him, like, moving way too fast. And then, like, her, just, the whole reaction, I didn't like. That really turned me off. And then the whole surprise pregnancy thing, and I was like, come on, people. Really? Just, come on. Yeah, I was just like, no. So now I'm on to the third book, and I'm going to try to get through that one. Once I'm through that one, I will update with it, and then this will be the end for this wrap up for my mid-month. So I will talk to you all later. Okay, update. So I finished the third book in the Reynolds Restoration series. So this one here is called Shifting Gears by Melanie Moreland, and this one has the characters of Brett and Kelly. Now, Kelly is Charlie's friend. She was in the first book a little bit, like she would talk a lot with her friend on the phone, and she kind of showed up a little bit toward the end of the first book. And in the second book, she was a little bit in there, and you can tell that there's obviously some type of connection between her and Brett in the second book. So this third book is them. Now, they got together, and it was kind of more of a friends with benefits type of thing. They got together like super quick. And all of a sudden, usually when it comes to like when you're bumping uglies, putting the P in the V, feelings can tend to happen. So she's the type of person where she doesn't really stay long. She tells more of her history of why she kind of like constantly books and runs and is always like going around. She explains her history a little bit more in the books. You understand why she is the way she is. But something happened to her the last time she went out, because she's a photographer, but she's more of like an assistant to a photographer, and the photographer that she was working for is a real jerk. And so something happened to her when she was out with him, and so she comes back definitely in a more depressive state. And so Brett, was hurt by her because she had taken off and he was falling for her. And so now he's angry. And he's like, well, I don't want anything to do with you. But he quickly caves. He quickly caves. And within about 40%, they were getting back together. So I did enjoy this one a lot more than I did the second book. The second book was way too quickly, way too insta-lust, to where this one here kind of like you can understand a little bit more of like why this character acted the way that they did, and why this character acted a certain way. So you can kind of understand of why they did what they did. So, but I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. And it was enjoyable. The last book was 3. I'd say the first book is like the best one, and then I'd say the third book is the second best. So I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was pretty good. And I got through it pretty quickly. So, but yeah, that's it for this mid-month wrap-up. I will also add that if anybody doesn't know, I had put it on my community tab. I started up a secondary channel where I'm talking about movies, and I'll be doing TV shows. I'm trying to watch more stuff, Some of it I may do reviews on, maybe older. I may not do stuff that is all like recent movies. I may do something like, maybe sometimes I might go and post something on Thursday, and it'll be like a throwback Thursday where I'm discussing a movie that maybe came out like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but is still enjoyable to watch. Like, I am very much a fan of the types of movies that are good on a rewatch, like The Big Lebowski, for example. I freaking love The Big Lebowski. Love that movie. I can repeatedly watch that movie over and over again, and it doesn't get old to me. It's still enjoyable. I love the characters. I'd say Jeff Bridges is probably one of my favorite actors of all time. Jeff Bridges is definitely a great actor. I mean, he's done all kinds of stuff. Starman, all kinds of movies he's been in that I've just been a huge fan of his. And so I may end up doing like a throwback Thursday and talking about a movie and how it made me feel, because I do other things besides reading romance books. I want to be able to watch more movies and more TV shows and say, what is it I liked about it or like about the show, and kind of go from there. And yeah, I don't get a lot of views on it. That's fine. A lot of people tend to do like whatever is like coming out, at that point. But I don't watch a lot of new movies. If it's available to me on a streaming service, I'll watch it. But if it's not available to me, most of the time I don't go to the movie theater anymore. It's too expensive. And most of the movies that are coming out nowadays aren't as good. So I was thinking about doing videos like that, where maybe 1 or 2 videos a month. It all depends on when I want to film. On my Brandy rants, it's Brandy's how I did it again? Brandy's Rant Room. And I put it that way because, of course, my name is Brandy. And I kind of think of this as my rant room because it's a small little closet that I go and I express my either enjoyment of something or my displeasure. So I wanted to name my channel something different. And also, if anybody, you like my rants or you like my reviews on something, but maybe you're just not into like romance novels, there you go. Then I'm watching a movie and I'm saying what I liked about the movie and all that stuff. Some movie reviews I would like to do are old, like John Carpenter classics. One of my favorite directors all time, John Carpenter. Besides Quentin Tarantino, John Carpenter has been my favorite. The Thing, Christine, all these movies that are just fantastic to still watch. The practical effects for The Thing top anything that's CGI. I'm sorry, you could fight me on that, but I love practical effects because it shows the creativity, the artistry that these people do. So this is what I wanted to talk about, movie stuff. So if you like movies, you want to go and continue to watch me, but maybe you just don't really watch me much on here, but you still want to support me, in that way, then you can go to my secondary channel, watch my movie stuff, and see how you like it. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing. And there are days, sometimes I just don't want to film book reviews because I just get so frustrated sometimes with what I read. So, I go over to movies and I watch some of my favorite movies. So I probably will be doing reviews on that, like Revenge of the Nerds, 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club. They may be classics, and I'm like, you know what? This is a Throwback Thursday video where I'm talking about this movie that was made in this year, and these are the things I still like about the movie, So that type of thing. I don't want to do reviews where there's other people who do like the newer movies and they talk about the new movies. I don't always want to do that. I may do some newer movies, but I may also do like how many reviews where I'm talking about classic movies, maybe stuff from like the 50s, or maybe something that you don't even know about, like I like older movies too, besides like stuff maybe made in like the 90s, the 80s, the 70s. I like movies made in the 50s too. So I'm very much an eclectic when it comes to movies as well as music, things like that. I'm an eclectic. I like movies, so it doesn't matter like what year it came out in. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. So I may discuss that. So yeah, this is just me hyping up my secondary channel. If you want to check it out, check it out. I will leave a link down, or, try to at myself for my secondary channel. So you could try to click over to that one there. It'd be easier. So yeah, that's it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I will see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.